Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name is Mr. Clockwork Apple. Now let me tell you a story. When I was younger, I was far more into the Final Fantasy series than I am now. If it said Final Fantasy on the box, I'd buy it. And I played a lot of good games and some not so good games. One game I did enjoy was Final Fantasy XII Revenant Wings. And in the back of the game manual, there was an ad for a game called The World Ends With You. There was no information about the game, it's just the title and some artwork, so needless to say, I was intrigued. I had to know what this game was. Well, several years later I would eventually actually pick up the game and my curiosity would be satisfied. But the question is, was the game good? Well, let's find out. The game opens in Shibuya, with our main character Neku Sakuraba, that's this guy right in the middle here with the orange hair. He wakes up in the middle of the street and he has no memory of how he got there or memory of anything else apart from his name. He basically has complete and utter amnesia. He wanders around for a bit and finds himself being attacked by monsters, only to be rescued by a girl named Shiki Misaki, who you can see standing next to him about there-ish. Yeah, there's a lot of characters on this cover, it's hard to pick them out, but oh well. Shiki explains that you've been entered into the Reapers game, which is this sort of contest that lasts for about 7 days. If you win, you get a reward. If you lose, however, you get erased. Only it turns out that the Reapers, who are running the game, aren't going to play fair, and the two of you are going to need to work together in order to survive. Something that the very antisocial Neku isn't exactly happy about. But if he wants to avoid erasure by either Reapers or monsters, he's just going to have to get used to it, I'm afraid. And pretty much anything else in this game is a humongous great spoiler. I'm serious, this game is very spoiler heavy. It is very twisty, turny plot kind of game. I really can't say as much about it as I want to without ruining it. Our main character is of course Neku. As I mentioned, Neku's main character traits are his general antisocialness along with his amnesia. Or at least at the start of the game it is. As the game goes on, it mostly focuses on Neku's development as a person, and he sort of slowly learns to open up to the world around him. And I know that sounds like a major spoiler, and it kind of is, but I know people who have stopped playing this game basically because they didn't like Neku's character at the beginning. So trust me, it is worth sticking around because he's not as bad throughout the whole game as you might think he is. Along with Neku, we have several other characters, mainly we have his 3 partners who you can see on the cover here surrounding him. We've got Shiki over here, we've got Joshua over here, and we've got Beat up here. For the first week we have Shiki on side, and yes, I said first week. The game taking multiple weeks was probably supposed to come as a big surprise, but the game's manual actually ruins that one for you, so I don't consider that a spoiler since the game itself messes that one up. Shiki is a fashionista of sorts, but she isn't very self-confident and she tries to help Neku open up to the world around him to varying degrees of success. In the second week we have Joshua. He's a mysterious kid who is a complete and utter asshat. He refuses to take the Reaper's game seriously, he won't tell Neku anything, and you will basically be absolutely suspicious of him from the second you meet him. But that's okay, because that's sort of the point. And the third week gives us Beat, who is this sort of thuggish teen who's been stuck in the game since week 1. But he's kind of dumb. He means well, but yeah, he's a complete and utter idiot, but he does lead some of the game's absolute funniest moments, I'll give him that much. For our bad guys, we have the Reapers. These range from the lazy but powerful Kariya, who's basically just wants to slack off and enjoy his lollipop that he seems obsessed over trying to eat, or the mathematics-obsessed Minamoto, who basically is, as I said, he has a maths fetish. He never shuts up about maths. He just makes puns of maths all the damn time. It's ridiculous. And these guys want nothing more than to see you erased, and they make up some of the game's more serious boss fights. We've also got a cast of side characters as well, from Shooter Dan, who's like every kid's anime protagonist. You know, he's like Beyblade, Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon, all mixed into this one insane, crazy 12-year-old. Or there's Mick, the unsuccessful businessman. There's AG OG, who's this local internet celebrity. And all these characters are really well written. They're all very unique and interesting, and they help make the game... well, they help make the game what it is, in my opinion. This is where things get tricky. Each day has a particular challenge that you need to complete in order to progress through the game. That is to say, this game and the Reapers game. And several smaller challenges you can go through to earn bonus rewards or access new areas that you wouldn't be able to get to normally. These challenges can be anything from finding a certain item to battling the right enemies. Scattered around the world are enemies called Noise. Mindless, aggressive creatures that are born out of negative emotions. If you've ever played Kingdom Hearts, they're basically the Heartless. You already know what you're getting into with these guys. By using the scan function that the game lets you have, you can either read the thoughts of random people to get a bit of extra flavour text and add some, I guess, just attitudes to the world in general, or you can get into battles against Noise, who, by the way, don't actually target you. You don't get into random battles very often in this game. You just start fights whenever you want to. Which you probably will have to quite a lot, actually. Combat is where this game gets extra tricky. It takes place on both of the DS's screens. That's the top one and the bottom one here. And Neku fights on the bottom screen, with his current partner fighting on the top screen. You can actually see them on the back here, but not very clearly. It's kind of... my webcam doesn't pick it up very well, but that's an idea of what it's like. In order to use attacks, you have to equip things called pins. These are little badges that basically give you special abilities. Most people can only use one or two of them, but Neku for some reason can use absolutely all of them. It doesn't matter which ones he gets, he can use them. And at first I felt this was just like, okay, they wanted their protagonist to be the best one ever and make him powerful. But it actually is given a reason why he can do it in the plot, so I'm going to give that a pass. Where, you know, normally I'd complain that they made their character too overpowered, but they gave it a decent reason. By drawing the right patterns on the touchscreen, you can essentially activate the pins and use anything from a basic melee attack to launching a fireball or creating these giant ice spikes that come out of the ground. And with the right setup of pins, you can create your own unique fighting style for Neku. You don't have to follow any particular style if you don't want to. You know, you're always going to find some pin or attack that you seem to like a lot more than anyone else, and you can base your fighting style around that. In order to control Neku's partner on the top screen, you have to use either the D-pad or the face buttons. Simply holding either left or right will cause your partner to attack in that direction. By fulfilling certain conditions whilst doing this, you can unlock special super attacks that deal huge damage to the Noise and heal your team in the process. Enemy Noise actually exist on both screens, interestingly, at the same time. Defeating a Noise on one screen causes it to vanish from the other. But this also holds true for your team as well. Both Neku and his partner share a health bar, and you have to pay attention to both screens, otherwise you're going to end up dying because one character you weren't paying attention to is taking a lot of hits, and you know, you're just going to get wiped out in no time if you're not paying close attention to both characters at the same time. Trying to control two characters at once can be extremely difficult at first. You either figure it out and get good at the game, or your hands fall off. There's no in between. You either figure it out or you cannot play at all. I'm serious, there is no in between at this game. Finally, there's the trends system. Along with the pins you can use to attack, you can equip threads. That's clothing to you and I. Basically, different clothes can provide you with different effects. These can range from stat bonuses in combat to HP regeneration, or having more time to perform a combo. They can do all kinds of useful things like that. And if you want these effects, you're going to have to make friends with the shopkeepers, who will then tell you about them. Basically, you make friends with a shopkeeper by just buying their stuff over and over again, and then they'll give you the information to, well, use the special abilities on the clothing. I definitely recommend trying to do that as often as you can in this game, because you need those abilities, especially once you get to the later stages. You know, the end game of this is quite tough, so you'll want those extra bonuses to help you get through. All of the pins and clothing you can equip belong to one of 13 brands. If you wear pins or clothes that are in style, you get a huge attack bonus when you're fighting the Noise. But if you're wearing clothes that are so last season, your attack gets cut in half. So make sure to change your outfit often and stay fashionable. I love this game's art style. The characters were designed by Tetsuya Nomura, who is known for his work on the Final Fantasy series and the Kingdom Hearts series. And frankly, it really does show. The game has a very sort of urban graffiti kind of art style, and every character seems to want to wear as many accessories as they possibly can. Just give me a minute. Stupid belts, get off here. Why did I put all these things on? It takes forever to take them off again. Whose idea was this? Come on, just get off, damn you. Get off. Belts everywhere, so many belts. Who would dress like this? And on with the jacket, back to normal again. That's better. Everything is really well designed, and both characters and enemies are easily recognisable with very unique appearances and designs. The music is absolutely amazing too. The World Ends With You is one of the few game soundtracks that I actually own, and frankly I can happily dance along to most of this game's music, no problem. If you want a good example of some of the game's music, I suggest you check out the song 3 Minutes Clapping. It's probably one of my favourites on the soundtrack, but there's loads of other good ones as well, like Calling or One Star, Transformation. Basically just look up the soundtrack. It is pretty damn good, I will give it that. One of the game's coolest mechanics is that you can purposely lower your own level in order to increase the item drop rate or make the game more challenging if you feel like it. You're going to have to do this if you want to get those rare pins which come with all kinds of cool abilities or can be traded in for extra cool equipment. Basically, it's kind of necessary to get the best stuff, and it's a really unique idea actually, giving up your own power in order to increase the chance of getting a rare item. I wish more games would do something like this to help you get that, cut down on the grinding. Certain pins can also be evolved. This makes them more powerful than they were before, but you need the right kind of experience in order to evolve them. Most pins can be evolved just by battling, playing through the game as you normally would, but some need you to not play the game for a while, since you can earn experience when the game's turned off. And I don't mind this one too much because I can use it overnight when I'm asleep. But the third method is using this thing called Mingle Mode. And that means letting your DS connect to other people's DS's. And if you're like me, you don't know anyone else who owns a DS. I live in rural England, no one else owns a DS but me. And you're basically screwed with trying to get these special evolutions for Mingle Mode because you can't get Mingle points. I mean, you can get some randomly if you just leave the DS on Mingle Mode, but I left it there for a whole 24 hours and I got next to nothing. So, nothing tells you how certain pins evolve. You have to either look up a guide on the internet or just try and get lucky. Fortunately, you can get through the game easy enough only using the pins that evolve through either combat or resting, but it does just annoy me that there are certain ones that I can't actually get. Although, as a fun side fact that you might not have known, The World Ends With You's Mingle Mode was actually the inspiration for the 3DS's Street Pass feature. So every time you've been playing a game and it's popped up telling you to try Street Pass and you've said, no, I don't want to try Street Pass, here's where it started. You have this to blame for it. In case you couldn't tell, I love The World Ends With You. I love it so much. Apart from possibly games like Ghost Trick or Elite Beat Agents, this is probably one of the most stylish games on the DS. Add in a great plot, likeable characters, fantastic soundtrack, great replayability, and this absolutely hilarious bonus chapter that reads like a very badly written fan fiction. This game has fan fiction of itself in the game, and you end up with one of the best action RPGs around. Probably even the best if you're talking about the original DS. Apart from the Mingle Mode and the fact that my hands hurt after I play the game, I can easily recommend this to anyone with a DS who wants to just give it a shot. There's also a port of the game that you can get through the Apple iStore, but I haven't played that one. I've heard good things about it though. And the game is also being re-released on the Nintendo Switch in the near future. So if you don't have a DS and you want to try the game out, and if those ports are anything like the original, they'll definitely be worth getting. With that, I have been Mr. Clockwork Apple. And stay stylish, viewers. Hey, here's a bonus fact for the people that stayed around. In Japan, this game is called It's a Wonderful Life, but the name was changed for the English release to avoid issues with the 1939 movie of the same name. So there's that. You might not have known that, but now you do. I'm just gonna erase now. Bye.